Just a local country guy, man. That's all I am. So been very blessed to spend my whole life here in Martin County. I went to Williamston Middle School and went to Williamston High School. I was able to graduate in 1994 and went to East Carolina and got my bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science. Graduated in 4 years and I was able to come back in January of '99 and start teaching at Williamston High School. So I was able to coach right out of high school. Every year after I graduated, I was able to coach the kids that I kind of hung out with and partied with the next year. Then obviously in my student teaching school down the road, we'll probably talk about it a little later. So man, been very involved in our county athletic-wise for the youth programs, the middle school programs, and the high school programs.
What sports did you play while at Williamston?
I played all three. Played football, basketball, and baseball. Man, it was just very average. Man, I just love to play. Man, we had a lot of good players at that time. And, man, our football was pretty good. Obviously, basketball, baseball was really good. So, man, my senior year was the first year Brown Pascal come back. So, our senior class was the first group that when they installed the wing tee into. Man, that team pretty much in basketball and football was carried by the junior class, who obviously the following year won state championship. So yeah, we were the first team for Coach Pascal to bring the wing tee to, and man, we had a pretty good year. I think we made it to the second round of playoffs. Man, just a very average guy, but man, I love to play all three.
Which sport you think you excelled at the most?
I would probably say baseball. I mean, just because I spent more time doing that, obviously, man, getting out of high school baseball and, man, playing Legion and Babe Ruth and playing baseball all summer, man, that's what we did back then. We played baseball around through the summer. We finished baseball on Thursday. We started football grass on Friday. That was just the expectation, man. You play all three. You don't specialize like kids are told to do now. Man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I enjoyed. There's nothing like Friday nights in the swamp, running down the hill, touching that rock. Was able to play for a good coach, Steve Gilmore, in basketball. I would probably say that was definitely my third sport. But man, we were surrounded with a lot of good players, man, in basketball my senior year. So man, I wouldn't take $1 million for anything I did in high school, man. It's the best 4 years of my life.
Did you play any regionals or state championship
Yeah,
games?
So my senior year, I played in a regional. My senior year in baseball, we played Princeton High School in the Eastern Finals to get to the state championship game. Played at Princeton High School. They had a kid named Justin Willoughby, who is now the head baseball coach at Rosewood High School. He was a left-handed pitcher, 89, 92, got drafted out of high school by the Braves. Then they had another right-hander that was upper 80s, low 90s that went out going to state. Man, that team was so good, man. They hit a ball with a guy on second base over DJ Reddick's head with 2 outs in the sixth inning. I think he hit it like 500 feet. It was a really big field, really big park. And I went over DJ's head. We got to beat 1-0. And then the following year, we beat Princeton at home. And man, they won the state championship in '94.
Right.
We won the state championship in '95. So.
Okay.
Yep.
So you said they won in '95. You was on the team.
I was coaching.
You was coaching in '94.
Graduated in '94.
Okay.
I went right to coaching with Coach Rogers in '95.
I got you. Like I said, we'll go back to the regionals, and because I want to get all that stuff, all the history. It's basically I want to hear about the '90s.
Right.
Yeah. How y'all was down.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
We were. You know, so man, it's, you know, the crazy thing is, you know, 90, 91, 92, 93, we were 2A. So, you know, man, we were really good. But, you know, man, every time you go up in A, man, it's better competition, you know.
Right.
So 2A is a little better than 1A, 3A better than 2A, vice versa. So, my senior year was the first year we dropped down to 1A. But, well, 95, 94, 95 was the first year. You know, man, in 95, you know, we played for the football state championship, basketball state championship, and baseball state championship. I mean, it's just crazy because, you know, man, we just dropped down. We dropped down from 2A to 1A. So we went from being the smallest 2A school to one of the biggest 1A schools. You know, we've been 1A ever since. So, but, you know, man, it's just interesting. You know, man, we were so close in 2A. And, man, we dropped down to 1A, and within 365 days, man, we're playing for 3, back to back to back. You know, I mean, it was nuts. I mean, you know, we got beat by James Keenan, you know, in 95, 86, 83, in the Dino, you know, and then we beat Swain County at Muckett Stadium in game 3. Man, you know, man, that just kind of, to me, it just kind of propelled everything for the next 7, 8 years. You know, I mean, we were really good in 96, 97, 98, 99 was, you know, the Brown in that group. We went back to 2001, you know, 2002. So, man, you know, from 92 to 2002, 2005, I mean, man, you know, we spoiled this community. I mean, it's just the expectation went from, you know, let's win 8 games, let's win the conference championship, but man, let's get to the Eastern Finals, let's win the state championship. I mean, it was because, man, you know, a lot of good coaches here, a lot of good players. You know, man, the history here is just, man, so deep. I mean, all the way back to the 70s when they won back-to-back state championships in baseball, 75, 76, you know. Dink Mills, Harold Robinson, Herbie Rogers, you know, I mean, Mike Burrell, Steve Gilmore. I can name all of them, Chris Knott. I mean, our community bought in, and our kids bought in. You know, man, our kids played 3 sports, and it just, you know, I mean, they competed like crazy on the football field. You know, they competed on the basketball court. They played baseball, ran track. You know, and I mean, that's what you got to do at one of these schools. I mean, there's a lot of one of these schools that share athletes, but you know, man, I've seen the specialization of athletes in rural areas. You know, over the 5, 6, 7 years, past 5, 6, 7 years, that man, I think just it's not fair to those kids, man. I mean, they're too athletic. You know, I mean, in a small community, you got to play them all.
What coaches did you play for during your time here in Williamston?
Yeah, you know, in football, I obviously played with Coach Robinson. He was the head coach. Coach Beisel was our offensive coordinator. Coach Rogers, you know, was our defensive coordinator. Steve Gilmore was our receivers coach. You know, on the defensive side of the ball, you had Preston Green, who coached D-line. Had a guy named Chris Knott that they hired, I think, my junior year. He came in, was a really good coach. And Mike Burrell coached linebackers. And, you know, back then, man, they kind of had their defensive coaches and offensive coaches. I mean, you know, back in the day, man, we tried to platoon as much as we could. I mean, obviously, they still wanted their best players on the field playing both, but, you know, our numbers were good enough in football that we were able to kind of platoon offense and defense. Obviously, basketball, played for Coach Gilmore. Geezer, you know, was his assistant coach. Chris Knott was our JV basketball coach. And then obviously, you know, man, played my first 3 years with Mike Burrell. He had been here probably since 82, 83. And then Coach Rogers took over the baseball program my senior year in 94. Man, very, very blessed to have that group of people, man, in our lives. We didn't realize it back then, but, all just, man, really, really good human beings.
That's what's up. So you said you graduated in 94?
I did.
So you played, was you on the team with Nut?
Yeah.
So you was on the team that went to the state?
Well, I didn't play my senior year.
Oh, you didn't play your senior year? Okay.
All years not to play.
Okay.
Man, it had nothing to do with the team or the coach. Man, I'm just tired, and it was a bad year to be tired because I could have done layups in the Dean Dome, But obviously, man, me and my family, I supported, them. And, man, close game with Jordan Matthews, man. Jordan Matthews is really good, man. Like I said, that my whole senior year, man, those juniors pretty much carried us in all our sports. And then obviously, following year, man, we win 3. So we're the same people. Those kids were juniors my senior year. Peanut, Curtis Schofield, all those guys. So, yeah, man, we had a good run. Man, it was awesome. So, and obviously, like I said, man, that group of juniors, obviously won football, and baseball next year. So, got beat in basketball. So.
Yeah, y'all sound dominant back then. My question is, who y'all look up to? Like, cause, all right, so I know Nate said they laid the blueprint for DeBron and them. But actually, y'all, like you said, y'all went from 2A to 1A and they won everything pretty much.
Yeah.
So, but who were y'all looking up to? Like,
I'll go back to my freshman year. That was Jim Bob Bryant and his group. Mark Rayner, Lamont Moore, who was one of probably the best football players in East North Carolina at that time. Could have played anywhere he wanted to play. Man, Bobby Davis, Chris Miles. And man, those guys were seniors when my class was freshmen. And, man, that 8th grade group was coming up, it was really good. But, man, we kind of look up to those guys because, man, they play 3 sports. And man, we did the same thing, and we were their JV teams, their senior year. And then, the next year, the year after, man, we were the guys that were trying to lead practice, and man, let those young guys that come up from middle school hopefully look up to us. Man, I don't know if a lot of people remember Lamont, but I think that was his first name. Man, he was so intimidating. He was that 95 defense intimidating type of player. Man, had a chance to go anywhere he wanted to go, and just chose not to. So I think he finally narrowed it down to like UCLA and somewhere else. And he chose just to go to school, so which is okay. But I would say that senior group that man, Jim Bob and that whole group of his, one of the guys that I felt like we probably looked up to.
who are a few of the standout players that you remember playing with?
Man, obviously in basketball, Peanut, obviously, man, was just that guy coming up that, man, everybody just loved to watch dribble, but man, he was a true point guard. Obviously, Curtis Schofield, Roosevelt Freeman, Larry McGeechan was a good player, for our basketball team, and obviously, man, that whole group of juniors and football, Chico and Donnie, that whole group. So I'm gonna be real cautious of saying names because man, we had a lot of good players come through Williamston and those early '90s, mid '90s, and late '90s. And man, I don't want to be disrespectful to somebody that I probably can't remember because I'm pretty sure there's somebody that was no doubt the best I ever played with or watched play, but man, I'm too old to answer that question.
But when did you know that you wanted to get into coaching?
My sophomore year in high school. Just, man, seeing Harold and Herbie, watching Coach Gilmore, watching Branson Green, watching Mike Burrell, coach baseball, and Herbie coached baseball, and all those Brian Passman, all those guys, man, just, you know, man, I thought, man, that's gotta be the coolest thing, you know. Now, I didn't realize that, you know, man, you're gonna be broke the rest of your life. But you know, man, what I found out is there's a good price, man, to being in this profession. And man, one of them is leading kids. I mean, that's what we were blessed with the people that coached me and my group and right on through. But you know, man, there's kids now that, man, seniors in high school have no clue what they want to do. And man, I'm early. Like, you know, man, then I go back to my middle school days, Rick Minshew, you know, Coach Johnson, you know, Danny Dalley. I mean, man, you know, like not only did we have a phenomenal staff at the high school level, but at our middle school level, I mean, Rick Minshew and man, they just, you know, William Johnson, they dominated. You know, I mean, they were good coaches. I mean, they prepared us for success in high school. You know, man, that was my goal here at the middle school was, man, we gotta have the best staff here. We get those guys ready for Williamston. So, I finished with that.
I know you was a part of Roanoke coaching staff, 98, 99. I know you die hard Williamston, but I know you were a part of Roanoke coaching staff, 98, 99 season. Was that one of your first coaching jobs? And what was that experience like?
So, I'm sitting at East Carolina University in the summer of '98, and Dr. Grimsley, the OG of East Carolina, calls everybody in, and you know, man, that's the day you find out your student-teacher assignment. I mean, I had 27 people I graduated with. They graduated with exercise sports science with me, and he did it in alphabetical order. You know, so man, like it was nervous. Like, man, you have no clue where you're going. When you're going to Green County, you're going to Pitt County. You know, when you're going to high school, you're going to elementary school. I mean, he starts naming all these schools these people are going to. I mean, you know, A, B, you know, and gets the T. He's like Tice. Roanoke High School. And I stood up and said, I'm not going there. And he said, this is where you've been placed, son. And I said, Dr. Grimsley, I'm not going there. I walked out of the room, I called my dad, I said, Dad, I got to put it Roanoke High School. I'm not going to graduate from East Carolina. And so, you know, me and my dad had it out, and I was like, I'm not going there. I want to get I'll be 12 hours short of the degree. Screw it, I'll do something else. I'm not going to run high school. So man, you know, man, I go back into the classroom and man, Dr. Grimsley holds me after. And he was like, Tice, look, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened for you. I said, no, you don't understand. It's the worst thing. Because man, Williamston back then was Duke Carolina. I mean, it was hatred. You know, it was a respectful hatred, but it was hatred. So, make a long story short, man. You know, I tell Dr. Grimsley, I said, man, I'm gonna go. I said, but man, I lost a lot of respect for you. You know, now Dr. Grimsley was the Harold Herbie of East Carolina. Like, been there his whole life, and man, put a lot of people through teaching. So, man, you know, I've got the rest of the summer to prepare myself to go to that school, you know, which I used to call down the road, them ugly colors, you know. And man, the first day I walk in, D-Doc Ayers walks up and says, hey, Tice, man, welcome to Roanoke. And man, I was not disrespectful. And I said, thank you, sir. You know, because man, you talking about legends here. You got Coach Atton, you got Robbie Calfee, you got D-Doc Ayers. You know, man, name three bigger names in East North Carolina. You know, so man, make a long story short, man, I get up there, it's the best experience I've ever had in my life. Like, man, those kids were so respectful, and they worked so hard. All Coach Atton, Robbie, D-Doc, man, they took me in. They didn't take me in as a Williamston Tiger. They took me in as a future East Carolina graduate. And man, taught me a lot of things that I didn't learn in East Carolina. And man, to this day, I consider D-Doc Ayers one of my closest friends. And man, to be fair to Dr. Grimsley, it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. Because man, they were good. Like, man, I took a power puff team up there for homecoming week, and Deborah Cherry was my quarterback. And man, Deborah Cherry is one of the top 3 best female athletes I've ever seen come through Martin County. And man, they played the freshmen versus the seniors, and man, we were 5 wide, no huddle. And man, we beat them like 48-0. And I was like, man, this girl right here is crazy. And then I got her in my gym class, and I was like, ooh, she's different. So, yeah, man. Awesome experience up there, man. Good community. That community supported, just like Williamston. And man, I met 3 really, really good friends from there, and Coach Atkins, those guys. And man, the players took me in, and man, I enjoyed it. Man, I got a chance to work with Timmy Manning, who I played high school baseball with. So man, I helped Herbie 95, 96, 97 in baseball. And then I got a chance to go work with Tim, who was, fresh out of college. Man, type A, let's go. A little bit different than working with Coach Rogers, but both in a good way. And then obviously, man, I graduated from East Carolina. Man, Roanoke High School offered me a job. And man, I'm just sitting there going, man, you got through student teaching, man. You can't work here, man. You're a tiger. You can't come. And Darlene Mobby was the principal, and she called me. And she said, Coach, I need to know about a more afternoon. And the next morning, Linda Cherry called me and said, Coach, I just had a position come up. You can start January 4th. Man, I stayed on the green side of things, and man, I've been ever since. So if I had that job and I opened up, I went to Roanoke, no doubt. Just because, man, how well they treat me up there, man, how nice the kids are, man. That staff up there, they get after it too now. I mean, Roanoke was really, really good when I come through.
Back then in the 90s, for the people that don't know, how was the Williamston and Roanoke rivalry?
North Carolina. I mean, UCLA, USC, Oklahoma, Texas, like, just not friendly. We hated them, they hated us. Kids got along, the weekend, the next week, man, wasn't disrespectful, but, man, I was brought up through youth sports. So, man, hey, Roanoke, I'm pretty sure that Cedric Razier didn't grow up like in Williamston, Salim Lopez, all those guys, man, they had some dogs just like we had some dogs. And, man, good coaching on both sides. It was the one game that you knew was going to sell out. Every sport. Man, Roanoke was good in baseball back in the day, too. Jerry Goddard was there. He was the baseball coach up there. So, man, it was, man, you put Williamston, Plymouth, Williamston, Roanoke together, you make some money. The fans going to get entertained because, man, it's going to be an A+ game. Every sport, every game, every year.
How was it coaching at your rival school? You gotta, just a few.
Well, man, man, once I accepted the position to go to Roanoke, man, I made that my home for a year, because, man, I had, like student teaching, I do semester 1 where you go and watch the teacher that you're with teach and just be at the school, and then semester 2, man, you do most of the student teaching. So, man, like Coach Ayers would teach one class, and then I would teach one class, and then we would team teach one class my second semester. So, man, what I thought was going to be one of the worst things in my life wound up being one of the best things in my life. So, And you know, man, I was not happy when I got placed there, obviously, but you know, man, the Lord works in mysterious ways, and He was able to put three men in my life that had a big influence on, man, where I'm at now, and Coach Atkins, Coach Calvin, and D-Dot. So, you know, man, once I got there, and man, I saw how they were going to treat me, and I dove head in just like I would in Williamston. And man, I did everything I could do to try to help them. So it was good. It was fun.
Good. Any players on that Roanoke team? I think you coach football and baseball.
I did.
Any players stand out on the Roanoke team?
Well, you know, they had put down the gun now.
Yeah.
Kevion Andrews plays short. Really good athlete. Deontay, somebody. And, you know, obviously baseball, I remember Jody Powell, I remember Hunter Keel. Had a really good catcher, Sam Chris. Man, there was a group there that played football and basketball, and they were so athletic, man, and so good. Unfortunately, I can't remember their names, but if they listen, they know who I'm talking about. You know, and then, man, you go back to the days of Cedric Razor and Salim Lopez, and man, they've had some dogs come through that school, man.
Where are you coaching now?
You know, obviously, man, I'm the athletic director here at Riverside Middle School, and I've enjoyed that transition. And you know, man, it stays busy, but I'm pretty much, you know, helping Coach Harmon at the high school with Champ being there as a sophomore, and obviously really heavily involved in Williamston baseball as you know, half part of being the league president and being able to watch my son, my youngest son, play baseball, and you know, man, enjoy watching my daughter play volleyball. So it don't stop, you know. I've got a little bit more headache now, trying to keep, you know, all these kids eligible, and man, trying to keep them out of trouble. And you know, man, you go from trying to raise 3 to, you know, man, you're a coach, you try to raise 20, and you're athletic director, now you're trying to raise 200. So, but you know, man, I like the things we put in place. Man, I like our staff here, and I feel like our middle school staff is just unreal, good. So, you know, man, we're excited about the future and what we can help the high school become.
How was life playing for Harold Robertson?
It was good, you know. You know, sometimes he said things you couldn't understand what he said. You know, Harold was a father to a lot of people in this community, like a whole lot. I mean, it was always cool to watch him put guys in the back of his truck and man, haul them all over town. You know, because I like, you know, man, like driving, I was like, man, that can't be illegal, right? You know, I mean, kids just flocked in this truck, man, and he carried them all over town, and man, bought a lot of them supper, and man, Harold loved his kids. You know, I mean, obviously what he did for the game of football for Eastern North Carolina, for Williamston High School. I mean, man, he's the guy. You know, I mean, he is. Him and Herbie. Man, they were here most of their life, and they gave a lot of their life to this community. And man, Steve was here for a good while too, but you know, man, Harold served as a assistant principal here. Herbie served as a high school AD, so he just kind of planted their roots here, and man, just helped raise a whole bunch of kids, a whole bunch of them.
We finished with Harold Robertson. If you want to say a few words about how Herbie was.
You know, Herbie was the exact opposite. Just a straight shooter. Man was more of a rules guy. You know, like don't be late. Be sure to tell in. You know, no cussing, like zero. He didn't care what your last name was. You're not going to use profanity. Prayed every day, pre-practice and post-practice. You know, tried to lead kids to the Lord. And man, he didn't change his ways. Poor kids, rich kids, white kids, black kids, Herbie was Herbie. I mean, I think that's probably why he's probably one of the more respected. I mean, obviously Coach Robinson, Steve Alden the same way, but man, Herbie never wavered. And man, if his best player got in trouble, his best player didn't play. He didn't sacrifice winning or losing for behavior. You know, man, you're going to do it his way. And man, he's going to prove to you that he can win without you. And man, people, you know, the interview you did, what's his name?
Nate.
With Nate Burns.
Yeah, Nate Burns, yeah.
Like, man, that's just like you could see it in Nate's face that man, Herbie was a follow figure to him, you know. And man, Nate even said, man, it was this way, you know. And man, he didn't treat Nate different than he treated the worst player on the team. And man, that's the thing that I learned from him baseball wise is, you know, if he had 15 players, he coached 15 like he coached one. 15 got the same number of reps as one, you know, same everything. You know, so just, man, our community's been blessed, man, so blessed. And those guys come through and kind of lead the way, and, you know, man, it's not a lot of us left here, but, you know, man, I can say, man, I wake up every day just trying to make sure that, man, I can make Harold and Herbie proud. You know, I'm not them. I'm a long ways from being them. But man, as far as a love for our community, I'm right up there with them. I mean, I feel like that's something that, man, I want to put on my shoulders to try to keep this thing going with our community and with our programs.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Any successes did you have in football during your coaching time? Like, I know you kind of took over a year or so.
Yeah, I did. So, you know, obviously, man, I started in '99. You know, obviously, I'm pretty sure you're going to ask a question about '99. Right. So, but, you know, that was my first year. I won a state championship. I'm like, man, this is easy. You know, and then obviously, man, I've never coached football. Coach Robinson tried to get me to coach when I was helping Coach Rogers, but man, I was at East Carolina. You know, so man, I was in school trying to coach Coach Rogers. And so, you know, man, I start in '99, man, I'm the JV receivers coach. You know, well, the only person that's under that position is like the water boy and the bus driver. You know, so, but man, I've never been around football. And man, I just like year one, not because we won the state championship, man, like 2 months in, man, I just fell in love with it. And you know, man, I went to a lot of clinics, man, I talked to a lot of coaches, and you know, man, kind of, you know, moved around, and man, went to defensive line, and you know, man, then I really fell in love with defense. You know, man, Winston Jones and Andy Robinson, because you know, like back then, like Harold, Herbie and Jim Ball, they would take the players they want, you know, for offense, and then whoever they didn't want, that's who me and Harold got, you know. And so, you know, man, every day I told Winston and Andy, you know, I can't remember what year that was, I was like, man, those guys don't want you. So, man, when we practice, we're going to tear them hind parts up. You understand what I'm saying? But it was all for the team. And then, man, I moved on to become the defense coordinator, and you know, man, I was able to put the plan together. Here we played Albemarle and AT at McClendon. And man, I put that plan together. You know, me and the defensive staff, but man, it was basically me. And man, I gave it to Coach Robinson. And I always gave it to Coach Rogers because he's my guy. He knows everything football. I mean, offense, defense, special teams. He's just a football genius. And man, he was very pleased with it. You know, and man, kind of beat. You know, we made a check 32 seconds before halftime. They sent out a formation that looked like a formation that we had one check for, and we called the wrong check on the field. And man, they threw a post over our shoulder. But you know, man, kid made the call. One of the best players I've ever coached in my tenure here, and he just, he made that call, man, it is what it is. So he knew it, and I knew it. We talked about it at halftime, and that was a good football team with T.A. McClendon. So, and then obviously, man, I took over after Harold left, and man, I don't know if it was the right decision or not. Now, man, I'm still mad. Man, you think you're ready. Man, you're ready to get married. You're ready to have a kid. You're ready to be a head coach. I had two good teams, and I felt good about everything we did. I just didn't feel comfortable, and I felt like for the best interest of our community that I needed to go ahead and remove myself. Just so, man, it wouldn't be a big decline of being really, really good. I didn't want to be the reason our program went down, man, I enjoyed the 2 years I did it. Man, my first game as a head football coach, we played Northeastern. They had Javon Brumsey, who played at East Carolina. We threw the ball 49 times my first game as a head football coach. The game ended at 11:38. Channel 12, all the Friday night stuff was already on TV. Herbie called me. He was like, "Man, we can't do this every game." I said, "Coach, we're going to throw it. We're never going to huddle. We're going to throw it. We're going to spread the field." And man, you learn like year two. We didn't do that as much. So, but anyway, man, and I replaced Harold and Herbie. That's easy, right?
Nah.
Obviously had a lot more success with Herbie than I did Coach Robinson. But, man, I say that the kids had success. I didn't have nothing to do with it. But, man, I still, Leonard Cherry, blessed me with that position. It still eats at me that, man, I probably shouldn't have took the job. I felt like, man, I had to take it because I was the next guy from Williamston, you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, and man, I say that not being disrespectful to my players because we were good, man, Al, TJ, Chelsea Perry, Jamal Moore, and we were good, man. Eric Goss was a senior. Just a jet. Every time they kicked off, we had a chance to return for a touchdown. And man, he did, I think, returned 7 this senior year, for 6 or 7. And like I said, man, it was like the game management. I felt good about it. I don't know. It just didn't feel right after year 2, And I just felt like, man, it was good to get somebody in here that probably want to do that the rest of their life. Because man, I knew, man, when the baseball job come open. Yeah, man, that was my first love. And man, it came open in 05, and obviously, man, I took the job. McGill came here, and man, I went to the primary school, we went to the high school. Man, it's where we are right now.
How much did the coaches you played for influence your current coaching style? I know you spoke on Herbie.
Yeah, man, Herbie. So Harold was kind of the rah-rah guy. Herbie was the straightforward guy. Like the shirt tell him that your belt's tight, your shoes, the football equipment on right, the shirt tell him that baseball, this there's only one way to do it, it's the right way. You can't go this way or this way in it. And Coach Robinson was obviously a little bit more laid back, but man, Steve Gilmore was a really good guy to play for. But I would say that, man, you try to take, and even for me, man, working at Roanoke, I was able to take things from those 3 guys, and also from the guys from Williamston. Man, my first couple of years, man, I was arrogant. Man, I was the rah-rah guy, get in your face. It's because I was 21, and I thought that's And then, obviously, in August of 2006, I had Champ. Champ was born. And, man, that's the day I become a good coach because I realized that, man, I have coached some kids the wrong way. And, man, I coach some kids that I hope nobody ever coaches my son like I coached their kids, if that makes sense. And when you become a father, man, things change. I was single. Man, that was all I did. That was my life was to coach, break down the film, put a bat in practice. That's all I had to do. And I just August 2006, August 23rd, 2006, man, that's probably when I become as good a coach as I could be. Because, man, that humbled me. And, I remember getting on my knees when I bought Champ home. Me and my wife bought Champ home, and, man, just asking the Lord to forgive me for some things that I have said to some kids. Because it wasn't right. And, man, I prayed that my son wouldn't have to go through that. And man, I say that, man, I wasn't, ugly, but, man, I was just probably a little too type A. I probably had to use some language that wasn't professional as a teacher and a coach. And, man, I just thought that's what kids needed to be jacked up. And, man, they didn't need to hear all of that. So, August of 06 is probably when I become a whole lot better coach.
I got you. I like that. Back with legendary Coach Tice, Hank Tice. Do you have a ultimate coaching goal?
Man, just try to change the life of one kid. That's kind of the goal now. Obviously winning's still important. Man, getting kids to college and giving them an opportunity, man, to get a degree. But man, it's crazy how things change as you get older. And there's a lot of kids that need coaches in their lives. And man, I think our community is really blessed with a lot of good people here at the middle school and high school right now. Man, it used to be winning, conference championship, regional championship, state championship. Obviously, that's the goal. It's the goal every year. That's the expectation in Williamston, But, when you break it all down, man, there's going to be 4 teams in every sport that wins the state championship. There's going to be 392 that won't. So, man, as you focus your attention to winning state championships and getting to the Eastern Finals, you just need to make sure you match that energy with making sure we ain't reaching kids.
You played for Hal Robinson.
I did.
Herbie.
I did.
And Gilmore.
I did.
So you played for 3 legendary coaches. Let's just talk about some of the guys that you played with in football first. We could just some of the toughest guys you played with in football. I know you say you don't really want to do a lot of naming, but just some of the ones that kind of stood out.
Man, like people. I'm not going to talk on this long because I don't want to be disrespectful, but man, people talk about how good Peanut was in basketball. Man, he was a headhunter in football. Like, man, that kid is that guy was unreal, man. He tried to take your head off. Like, man, he was ruthless, and man, it was within the rules of the game. But man, on the football field, that guy didn't like nobody. Obviously, man, Purnell coming through. Man, it goes back to that junior group for like my senior year. Man, they were all just so good. I'm gonna leave it at Peanut right there because we had a lot of good ones. Obviously, man, they helped us our senior year and then went on the next year to do what they did. So we'll move forward from that point on.
I got you. So toughest teams that you might could remember in high school playing against in the 90s, of course, the 90s, 80s?
Roanoke, obviously, I would put it at the top of the list. Princeton, baseball-wise. Man, back in the day.
Well, just football-wise.
Just football.
Yeah, we go to baseball.
Okay. Man, obviously Roanoke was good. Plymouth back in the day was good. Southwest Edgecombe was always good. Man, and it was just there was so much parity in football, back then. But man, you can't talk about the '90s without talking about Roanoke. You just can't. So I'll stop right there.
You there for the what championship years was you a part of Williamston?
For coaching?
Yeah, coaching, playing, however.
Yeah. So obviously I was there in '99. I'll go back to '95. We won the state championship in baseball at Zebulon Stadium. We beat Swain County in Game 3. Josh Evanson threw the game of his life. I started coaching at '95 in baseball. Won a state championship, got a ring. I coached football in '99. First year, got a ring. The first year I coached baseball and the first year I coached football, I got state championship rings. And I was like, man, this is easy. Why do we work so hard? Let's take a day off from practice. And then you realize, you see the grind that the kids put in and the coaches put in. And so obviously, I've coached in 7 high school state championship games, which is unreal, because some of the best never get a chance to coach in one. So, obviously we went to state championship in baseball back-to-back years. Went to state championship in football, '95, '99, '01 when we played Swain County in '01. We got beat by Cherryville twice in the baseball state championship. So, just blessed. We had a chance to probably win one more. Albemarle was good. Cherryville had our number. South Stokes beat us at Doak Stadium in baseball. They had a kid named Dustin Ackley who went to Carolina, was All-American, went and played for the Mariners. He was 9 for 9 against us in 3 games. We couldn't get him out. We're looking at the pitching chart, just trying to figure out how to pitch him. And man, he went to Carolina. They couldn't get him out of Carolina, and they couldn't get him out at Major League Baseball. So, really just blessed. Blessed to be around good coaches and blessed to be able to be a part of those staffs and just to watch our kids, man, how hard they work, man, how much time they put in.
Best player you played against in baseball?
Justin Willoughby, the head baseball coach at Roosevelt High School.
Best team you've seen in baseball in the 90s?
Princeton High School. They were so good, man. They were good in '94, and they beat us, and they were good in '95, and we beat them.
Toughest. Any people you can think of from your '90s team that you played with, just a few individuals, maybe that was tough that people might don't.
Peanut. Obviously, I'm just a Peanut guy, man. I was his backup point guard, meaning if we got up a bunch, I went in, but I tried to guard him at practice. It was just no shot of me doing that, but man, he was a dog on the football field. And then all that '95 group, there were juniors. And like I said, man, me and myself and Jack Hardison, Jody White, we were okay, but that whole '95 squad, man, was just really good, man. Our junior year. I'm a Donnie Durham guy, just a silent assassin. Went about his business, wasn't a rah-rah guy, but man, was balls to the walls, we're gonna beat you. And, man, just kind of do it in a quiet way.
If you could just give us a little bit about that 95 state championship team, baseball.
Man, that team was really good, man. Brian Beecham, was probably one of our top pitchers on that team. I go through as many positions I can go through. Obviously, Brandon Speller was, our catcher, and man, not only our catcher, one of the top catchers in the East. Man, was just so good from behind the plate. Don Mills played, he was our first baseman. Matthew James played second. Josh Edmondson played short. Can't remember who played third. Obviously, DJ Reddick, stud. Just an unbelievable athlete. Man, played football and baseball at Duke. A lot of people don't know that. But that team, man, we played Swain County. Man, it was packed. Obviously, Williamston had more people there. I've got all 3 games at my house, on a DVD. I watch it about once a year, just all 3 games. Hear Miss Kathy Price, her loudmouth, just cheering everybody on. The game went 3 games. That series went 3 games, and man, Josh Edmondson got the perfect umpire that liked the ball outside, and he had a big old 1960s looping breaking ball that, man, he could have thrown to a straw that game, and man, they had no shot. And man, we won the state championship. Man, but man, it was obviously a total team effort. But man, Josh and Brian and DJ, man, those guys, they could really throw it, man. We were so good behind the plate. Brandon Speller, man, he kept everything in front, man. He had a plus on, throwing to the bases. That team was good, man. We probably could have won in '94 if, we got 2 more hits. So, but like I said, man, Princeton beat us in '94, won in '94. We beat Princeton in '95, won in '95. So, it was just kind of the start, and then, man, we were blessed to be able to go back to the baseball state championship several more times with Cherryville and South Stokes. Lost some heartbreakers. I'll just leave it at that.
So in the state championship game, y'all won with just 2. What was the count? What was the
2-1.
2-1.
It went 3 games.
3 games. Okay. Any memorable moments during that game?
No, just how good Brian and DJ and really Josh. Man, it was, how it is with state championships, man. There's always that one person that, man, kind of steps up, and man, that was Josh that game, But man, obviously you get to the state championship, man, you've got a team. Like, you ain't got 3 or 4 guys, you got a team. And man, we were just so good defensively, and man, just had 3 or 4 good arms, and Swain County was good. And you get to the state championship, man, you're good. So, but yeah, that whole group. There's a lot of Mike Price. Man, hit third for us. I think he played right field. Man, Mike was seeing the beach ball the last 3 weeks of the playoffs. Man, just a good hitter. So, yeah, it's fun times, man. It's awesome.
We'll jump right into it. Football, 95 or 99. That's your first coaching job back in Williamston. Coming from Roanoke, first year back in Williamston.
Dogs.
Just talk about that 99 team.
Yeah, man, it's obviously you got people, you got Poncho, man, Brandon Woodley was such a good athlete, man. Brandon Woodley was a really good football player. Man, that whole team, man, just kind of come together, Offensive line was so good. Tank was up there. Trying to think of the other boy's name. 66, I think, played right guard. Man, they were good, man. They practiced hard. They practiced good. And, man, it was one of those things that, like, I remember Harold always saying, man, on away games, he would tell Branson, he was like, look, don't wreck the bus. Because if you get our team there, we're going to win. So, and I was like, man, that's arrogant. And, man, it was like, he won't lie. Like I said, man, that was my first year ever in football. I didn't know what I was doing, man. I was just running all over the field, jacking kids up and, man, trying to get them ready. And, man, they didn't need me to do that. Obviously, it's hard to go undefeated in anything. In rec basketball, rec baseball, middle school, it's hard going undefeated. It's really hard going undefeated in high school. Especially, man, that was that time that, man, Plymouth was really good, Plymouth was really good. Man, they had Joel McClenny, man, that was getting to the time where, my man up there at Roanoke was coming through, Tremaine Goddard was coming through, and, man, Plymouth, the Clemens, Roanoke, Williamston, man, it was brutal, man. Like you just hope to kind of win the conference, man, whatever your record be, man, to go undefeated. And then, man, to stay undefeated through the playoffs, man, was something too. So, yeah, man, that was good times. Man, that team was good, man. They were pretty good defensively too. And that backfield with Poncho and Brandon back there. I wouldn't say Ben Courtney was the other one. They were good. Man, the Brian difference maker. And what's crazy, man, is like 2000, I thought we were better. Lance Gaynor, a lot of people don't realize, man, people got hurt. So Lance Gaynor stepped in. So when we exchanged game film with Graham, they never seen the Brian. And, man, nobody sold us out. Because, man, back then you exchange film and then you get to the playoffs and, man, hey, can I get a film on so-and-so? No, man, that's my buddy. I'm not. Like, nobody sold us out. So Graham got 3 football games and, man, never seen the Brian Hudgens run a football. And, the rest is history, right? So, like we on the sideline, he was 27 yards short of breaking the national high school rushing record for a state championship game. National record. We didn't know it. He didn't play a snap in the fourth quarter. So, but man, that team was more than the Brian. Man, the Brian was, man, was the man. But, man, that team had some dudes on it, man. They were good. Offensive line was really good, man. Obviously, and quick pitch right, quick pitch left. And man, get outside on the edge and just watch him do his thing, man. But, man, the receivers blocked. Man, that team's good.
95 Williamston football or 99 Williamston football? Which one you gonna take?
Shoot.
You seen both of them?
I seen both. Played with a bunch of the guys that was on the 95 one. Coached the guys on the 99 one. So, man, I guess you're gonna try to get me to lose some friends here. But I think it's a question that, man, has been talked about at Gala Perry Park. It's a question that's been talked about at Cahokia Park. It's a question that's been talked about probably in the Walmart parking lot. I can't imagine that 95, 99 group getting together, man, for whatever, a weekend, homecoming, whatever. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I obviously think the 95 defense was better than the 99 defense. Obviously, I think the 99 offense was better than the 95 offense. You still got Chico and you got the Brian, and man, there were some dogs on that 95 D line, man. holy cow. Man, they're linebackers. But, and man, I'm not saying this because I was part of that team, but I think at the end of the day, if our offensive line could block just a little bit, I think the Browns would be the difference. But man, I say that to say this, and this is going to be the last statement I'll make on this topic, because I would love to sit 100 chairs in a circle with that whole group and myself and Jim Bob and Harold and man, just let it go for an hour. And man, just talk about it. But I say that to say this, I'm not sure we could block that defense. Like those linebackers and those D linemen for that 95 team, man, they were so big, but man, they ran so fast. And man, they play sideline to sideline. Man, those linebackers, man, they feel. I can tell you this, it would be a war, and I don't really like to use that word a lot because man, I know there's people's children that's man fighting wars, but holy cow, man, that game would make $30,000 if you could replay that somehow, like when they was all in their prime. So. And man, it's fun. It's funny to hear the guys talk about it because man, I'll run into 95 guys and I'm like, Coach, man, you know we were better. And then man, you know, back in the day, you see the Brown, and man, I think he's moved out of town now, but I still see Pancho every now and then. He comes to the Riverside baseball games, and you know, man, I'll just say 95, 99, and you know, man, Pancho is just like, come on, Coach, you know. So, but man, what great conversation to have. I mean, just kind of two different teams, you know. I mean, look, Chico was a game changer, you know. I mean, it was. So, but man, there wasn't many that come through here after the Brian that's been like the Brian, you know. Man, he was special.
That's dope. And if you just want to end with a few words, Coach, anything you just want to say, I see myself as beef, and of course, needed time to change. I know it's time for you to go. We definitely do the part 2 or the thing with Harold Robinson. We could definitely get all that. Like I said, anything you need, I definitely gonna make sure you get it.
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, man, I've been blessed to be here my whole life, and you know, man, I wanted to plant my feet here. I wanted to raise my family here. I wanted to. You know, I was talking to Coach McGill 2 weeks ago, and I said, man, what's crazy is I probably may be the last person ever to retire from Warren County Schools in 30 years. I don't know that you'll see anybody make education 30 more years, because, man, it's getting to be not an easy job. But I think, man, if you love kids, and, man, you love coming to work, man, you can make it 30 in education. I never in my wildest days thought I would ever make 30. I mean, it's been a fast 24 and a half, you know. But man, I have a 7-year-old, so when I retire, I'm still going to be giving back to my community because, man, I'm going to see my son through like I have with my champ. And man, I'm excited to watch my daughter play volleyball here. And you know, man, we just need to gather the flock, man, and get behind these kids here at the middle school. And man, support them. And man, try to keep good coaches here. Like I said, I'm so thrilled with where we're at our middle school, man, with those that are leading our programs. Every program we got, man, is being led by good people. And man, they're filling some positions in the high school now. New football coach, you know, obviously, man, CB, shout out to him for a pretty quick but awesome, you know, 10 years as a coach here in Warren County Schools. You know, man, we're going to benefit from him one day when he, you know, gets into administration. But man, we got to find people like that to hopefully replace those that are leaving. And man, it's hard to replace a CP. It's hard to replace a Rondell Floyd. It's hard to replace Brian Pascal. But man, there's been people like that that's been replaced. So man, we just got to stay behind those that are leading our youth, those that are leading our sports programs, and man, get in their back pocket. And, you know, man, don't be afraid to say thank you. Because, man, those people spend a lot of time away from their own families. But, man, they're giving back to our community, they're investing in kids. And at the end of the day, man, that's the ultimate goal of being a teacher, a coach, or athletic director is, man, to invest your life into children. And, man, I feel good about where we're at with that right now at Riverside Middle School and Riverside High School.
Our Williamston baseball team literally begins on the road when they leave Friday for Burlington to face Swain County in the State 1A series. The Tigers will leave with freshly shaven heads, a show of unity for a school looking for its first state title since 1976. The series is a best of 3, and Tigers head coach Herbie Rogers is stressing that game 1 tomorrow is a must.
Big shout out to one of my former players, so Street Dot Nation, baby. I mean, look, this guy was a good football player now, so to all those that are listening and watch his stuff, man, he doesn't just do interviews and record people talking, man. He was a dog back in the day at Williamston Middle School, so glad to say one of my former players as well. And man, just what you do, and I know there's a group, 3 or 4 guys that I follow on Twitter that's part of your group, man, but what you guys do for high school athletics, not only in Riverside and Martin County, but, man, across Eastern North Carolina. Man, it takes special people like you, man, because you guys give people a chance to hopefully, man, achieve their dream just by what you guys use social media for. So, big shout out right here, baby. Street Dot Nation for life.
We're going to go after them. You know, it's going to be a game probably where both teams sitting out their #1 pitcher, and that's probably going to set the tone for the rest of the series.
How much do you welcome the challenge of being the starter in game 1?
A lot. I'm ready to play. I mean, I'm ready to pitch whenever he gets ready to put me on the mound. I mean, I'm just ready.
What's it going to mean to you to come back from Burlington Saturday with a state championship?
It's going to mean a lot to me. First state championship ever. Hope we can do it next year. But it'll be a whole lot since we lost in basketball. Baseball, we can take it home.